guys, J.Anthony here. Welcome back to my channel. I know in a lot of my previous videos, some of you guys have noticed me driving around on this old Corvette and have asked some questions about it, and figured I'd go ahead and talk about it, as this is a car that I absolutely adore, and I just pulled it out of storage today, so the weather's nice. Figured I'd go beat up on it a little bit and enjoy it. I would drop the top, but then you wouldn't hear anything that I have to say, which you may actually prefer. But yeah, so this is a 2004 C5 Corvette. I've had it for a million years. I bought it with, I want to say 11,000 miles on it, and now it's got 36. Car's been extremely reliable. You know, it's had, you know, a couple little minor issues, but overall it's been a very good car. And I say minor issues, like I think a window regulator went out, just stuff that just happens with age, and I got to change some of the weather stripping because it's old. But great car. I've kept it a long time just because it's been so reliable and it's still fun to drive, and I just personally love the looks of these C5s. I love that these things have the pop-up headlamps, and I still catch myself looking at them and just really kind of drooling over the way they look. I know not everybody may feel that way, but yeah, I mean, and they're great cars. I grew up with these cars growing up outside Detroit. I remember these things as test mules rolling around on the street. And these cars, from a C4 to a C5, they're monumentally better cars in terms of quality. That said, they're also a lot more refined. So the C4s that came before these guys are a lot more rough, and in a lot of respects, I know a lot of people that prefer the C4s to the C5s. And the Corvette has only gotten more and more refined over the years too. So this car still has a little bit of a ragged edge to it. And part of that, you know, these cars got a lot of criticism when they came out, and they still get criticism these days, and it's deserved. And that is that the interiors in these cars it's crap. Now, I'll be honest. You know, having owned many European cars and owning Japanese cars and stuff as well, especially if I get in and out of like my Lexus LS or something into this car, I mean, the interior in this car is absolute crap. The entire center console is cheap plastic. There's like no sound insulation in here, which actually can be fun. But you know, this car new was $57,000, I think. You know, so if we did constant inflation currency, it's probably a $70-some-odd thousand car now. Yeah, they were definitely being optimistic given the interior quality. But these cars are awesome, and they have a personality to them. And speaking as a car guy, I don't know if you guys relate to this or not. It's almost like you want cars that have quirks to them, because it almost gives them that kind of personality where you can bond with them more. A lot of the cars that I've driven that I just didn't like at all, or ones that just had nothing that stuck out about them. They were just too easy to drive and too well made, and they just had no personality, were just boring. And this car is anything but boring. So this car is powered by an LS1 in stock form, which this one isn't. It made about 350 horsepower and 375 foot-pounds of torque. And at the time, it was good for like a 12.8 quarter mile at maybe 112 miles an hour. You know, quick, yes. Supercar fast, no. You know, this car stock, you know, you could do a slight walk on like a E39 M5 at the time, but this is not a car you want to go be racing 911 turbos with, for sure. And I've done some work on it. This car maybe runs a good low 12 if I can hook it up well, and that's a big if. So it'll stick up with a lot of modern sports cars, but you know, this is not a car again to go racing around with modern supercars. And this, like a current C7 is substantially quicker than this car. 0 to 60 stock form, I believe they were about 4.4, 4.5 to 60. 100 in about 10.5 seconds in the quarter mile, again, as I told you. Flat out, they were good for about 175 miles an hour, which good luck finding a place where you can go that fast. Small blocks are awesome engines, so they have a lot of good low-end torque, which is fun, but it also means the car can be kind of annoying to launch, but it's great at turning tires into smoke. And they just have a very linear torque curve, so you can, I mean, the thing will just pull. It doesn't really ever feel like it runs out of power. And I guess the one thing that is kind of cool but also a little sketchy is they have such good aerodynamics. This car has a coefficient of drag of under 3. And it's almost like the faster you go, the better the car accelerates. So it's like once you kind of get above 60, 70, and if you just keep your foot planted in it, it'll keep climbing easily. And you have to exercise the control of backing off on the throttle, and which is easier said than done sometimes, because it can be fun once you're in the power band. And again, it's always in the power band. So this car is a stick shift, so I can just, whenever I want, just get on it and it'll go. Of course, that was all within the speed limit, but you can just drop it a couple gears whenever you want, and the thing will just pick up. And it doesn't sound too bad too. I'm sure it doesn't sound that good on camera, but in all fairness, this car has a Mid-America aftermarket exhaust on it, stock form. These cars are pretty quiet. Gearbox it's a gearbox. It's you know, it's not the smoothest thing in the world, and actually getting the thing into reverse is a pain in the ass sometimes. It's a very forceful gearbox. You kind of got to manhandle it and just jerk it and get it into gear. It does would not have won any awards for being the smoothest gearbox in the world. And but you know, it's kind of fun. It has a very mechanical feel to it. These gearboxes they used to put in the Vipers as well. It has this very manly kind of feel to it. Gear knob is enormously oversized, and I just find myself shifting it just for the sake of shifting it because it's just fun. Ahead of me, which you can't see, I have a heads-up display. Great in theory, but now the polarized lenses are the norm. It's almost impossible for me to see with these glasses on because my Oakleys are polarized. But it's cool. It has a rev counter. It gives you a digital readout. You can check oil pressure, oil temp, fuel level. It has some cool readouts for sure. You know, the thing about this car is it's just kind of it's kind of rough, and I say rough in terms of, by modern car standards, this car is really rough. Not just because the interior is, you know, kind of but because it's loud. There's some wind noise. It's the traction control in this car is really loose, which if you're okay with that, and I love it. It's great. If you're used to cars kind of holding your hand and not letting you get out of control, this is not a car for you. This car will bite you. And it's funny when this, even with the traction control fully turned on, and I hardly ever drive it like that, if you step on it and you brake the back end will do at least 10 or 15 degrees before it catches you. So you can have a moment of, oh my God, I'm going to freaking crash the car before the traction control kicks in. And it's, the first time it happens to you, it's actually, it can be kind of a scary moment. And that's kind of one of the things about this car that I absolutely love and absolutely hate at the same time, is it lures you into this false sense of security, because the car feels very tame and very docile. Like it's, you know, it feels easy to drive, and it has a light clutch, and if you do like a third throttle, the car just accelerates quietly. It rides really well, and it feels like any other car. But if you don't have like a perfectly dry day out, and you just go to roll on the gears and do like a first to second shift, and you have anything other than like a dead ahead straight on the steering wheel, the back end will just snap on you. And I mean, this car will bite. And like I said, you don't expect it, because it makes you kind of feel like it's not going to step out, and it's very well behaved. And then, like, out of nowhere, the back end will just step out on you. And I've had some moments where I'm like counter steering because the back end just stepped out of me unexpectedly. I like that. You know, I'm a Corvette guy. I like cars that have to make you have to work for it a little bit. That's actually one of the things I don't like about Porsches, is I feel like they're too easy to drive. But I can see why a lot of people would absolutely hate that character about this car. And people get out of your way too. That's nice. I just watch people pull out of the way. Of course, my radar detector is now going off. So again, it's been a really reliable car. Part of the thing too is this being convertible. There's like zero visibility. I have no rear three-quarter view at all. And the other thing about these cars that's fun is they're wider in the back than in the front. So when you want to go place one of these things, you have to be constantly aware that this thing has a fat ass on it, and especially like backing up, it's really annoying. You have to really use your mirrors, and once you get used to using your side mirrors, it works out really, really well. But when you first get into one of these cars and start driving it around, you're just really aware of how terrible the visibility is and how wide they are. And again, you know, like right now, I have no idea what's going on behind me, on either side of me. I can see in my mirrors somewhat, but unless I was looking in the mirrors, I wouldn't have any idea what was going on. It's funny though too, people always notice this car, which is surprising to me. There's a woman staring at me through the window right now, probably wondering who in the hell I'm talking to. But it's funny, you know, these cars are getting up there in years, but people still notice them. Oh, and they sound good too. And there's a cop in an R8 Spider in front of me, so I can't really do anything. Oh, but they sound so good. So if you guys are looking for an older Corvette, highly recommend these. You know, I'm to the point where I want more power. I've driven cars substantially faster than this car. You know, C5 Z06s, 911 turbos, you name it. And you know, this car is still in such good shape. I feel bad modifying it and making it into some like boy racer car. So I think I'm just going to end up upgrading to a newer C6. And that's kind of the plan that I have at the moment. But you know, for a lot of people, this car is more than fast enough, and I can't recommend it enough. It's just a great quality car. It's held up well. If you can overlook the silly interior, and you know, let's be honest, the car with 175 mile an hour top speed and a quarter mile in the 12s is fast enough for most people. And again, there's always power. So I have to do a roll-out because it just does not hook up from a stop. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this. Great cars, reliable cars, awesome body lines. Ignore the interior and pick one of these things up. They've bottomed out on prices. You're only paying for mileage on the low end. You can get a really nice one with low mileage for, you know, the mid 20,000s. And if you want one that's had the shit kicked out of it with 150,000 miles, you can get one for like 13 or 14,000 US dollars. But timeless lines, really good reliability, shitty interior, fast enough for most people, sound awesome, bulletproof engines, and yeah, they're awesome cars. And I always enjoy taking mine out. So hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, thank you so much for watching. As always, please comment, rate, and subscribe. Thank you so much.